Some say we broke our promises. Some say we betrayed our brothers. Some say we abandoned God. But it is us, not them, who brought us this far. And those who make sacrifices today will reap the rewards of tomorrow.
How do? I'm on the wrong scene. Hello? Hello, hello. How are you all? Good, good. Glad to hear it. I'm getting earlier and earlier. Good evening. Many Flames, Lupercal, Tuggin, Golden Triangles. Who else we got? Ewan Carr, Patch, Vexmo, Maffy. Oh, we'll have to start with your stuff in a minute. Yeah, let's we'll get into your stuff in a minute. Paul Three Keys, Unji, welcome. Yeah, let's start with this badassery. So, Maffy has already received his 1 to 500 models and already painted them. It's just like, holy shit. That is some quick painting, dude. Yeah, and I love the sort of 1 to 200 max versus the 1 to 500 max. That's really cool. And yeah, his little fleet already together and looking awesome. So yeah, that's phenomenal. Yeah, fantastic stuff. Yeah, these 1 to 500s are looking great actually. Really pleased to see them out in the world. They're landing EU and US, and yeah, just dropping in all over the place. So that's awesome. I think that's about all that's sort of new paint jobs we've seen since Sunday. Finally back on a Wednesday. Last 2 Wednesdays have been a bit chaotic, but we're back on a Wednesday, which is fantastic. For those of you who didn't catch Sunday's stream, we did some awesomeness. We got all of the internals from the Covalex unit, which I will run through what that is again in a second, actually, because I suddenly appreciate that you guys may not have a clue what I'm talking about. So let's start with that. So this thing here is a piece of furniture we built in 2019 for our org booth at CitizenCon 2949. I don't measure much as that day. Neither do I. Let's recap. It's all good. So this is a unit we built for our stand, and initially we were just doing stuff for CIG and our stand, and I think one other stand. I think Pariverse may have already been on the cards, and we designed this thing out. We started manufacturing it, and then we ended up doing Game Glass's stand, Daymar Rally's trophies, Republic of Lorel, Semcores. I think there was someone else as well. We did so much stuff for the actual org booths that realistically we should have just stopped building this completely. We thought, no, we'll get it done, and of course it didn't get finished. But that's fine. It doesn't matter. It was our build. It was always going to be the last one to try and get finished. And it's that whole, we wanted to come back to it and get it finished because it's been languishing in the corner, and now seemed to be a great time to do it. So on Sunday we dragged out all the tech side of this thing, because it's eventually going to look like this. This is its new paint scheme I want to go for. This is new to Horizon. It's sort of like the FDL branding, but it does say at the bottom, powered by Covalex shipping, so it's still a Covalex unit in my mind. But I just vastly prefer this color scheme. So that's the color scheme we're gonna go for it in. That was at the same event. We'll get back to that. So it has a touchscreen in it. It does all sorts of craziness. James Stormtrooper does it. The door does actually open. Currently on an air ram, and yeah, there's Rye looking sexy next to it. It did go to the event. It was there. It was at the back of our stand, languishing there as well. This is it in pieces while we were building it. So it's got a cupboard at the top, cupboard at the bottom. Is a relatively practical cupboard, and then this obviously big square in the middle actually fits one of like a proper crate. So it's got a lot of love put into it already. It just needs to get done. This is a colossal picture of an arrow that I saved from CitizenCon. That is rolled up somewhere. But yeah, so it's a case of get it working, get it repainted, get it finished. For no reason in particular, other than I want to get it done, because it has sat here for years now. It is now measurable in years, and it's just never got finished. So that's cool. And with events coming back and the sort of Manchester office being redone out, this could well find a nice home somewhere, which would be really nice because it's a really big unit and it's cluttering up my workshop. So I say we got the screen working. James wasn't available, unfortunately, on Sunday, so we were really making the shit up as we went along. But we did get it working. We were actually quite surprised. So the screen works. Touchscreen element of it now works. It triggers the RAM. It does all that, all the shiny. So next stage is to get all the gear into it and put the RAM and attach the RAM to the door.
I'm just happy to blame JR immediately, but if you insist, we will look at the evidence.
Manry, thank you for the follow. I think that takes us to 993 followers. We are only 7 away from our target goal of 1,000, the arbitrary 1,000. Thank you very much for the follow. So, things we're going to do today are make some brackets.
I'm just happy to blame JR immediately, but if you insist, we will look at the evidence.
Hub you, I think. Thank you for the follow. One more. So close. We're so close. No fuckers unfollow me. just to keep. I can't remember who. I think it was Gray. It was around one of the thousands, and someone would follow and then unfollow and then follow and then unfollow. It's like, you fucking bastard. Yeah. Defollow, it. Yeah. But yeah, so actually, I think it'll break this counter. I don't think this counter will understand unfollowing. But yeah, so we need to make some brackets. We've got basically different power supplies. So this is a 5-volt power supply. This is a 24-volt power supply. This is the Pi itself and its relay header. So this all needs. And I kind of want to just design some brackets, 3D print some brackets for these, so that we can install it. And when we install it, it looks nice. Now, the air ram is going to get replaced in the end with a stepper motor setup. That's kind of its next upgrade. So this 24-volt power supply won't stay in it forever, because all this is doing is sort of it's basically powering the solenoid valves that power the air ram. So when the air ram goes, this goes. So that is, I want this to be on a separate bracket. In fact, I don't even know if that needs a bracket, because it actually has like a screw hole and a screw hole. So perhaps just won't bother with a bracket for that, so we'll ignore that. But we'll need to build a nice bracket for this because it's got 2 screw holes here and 2 screw holes at the bottom, and a nice mounting plate for this. And we're just got to be sort of like slightly cunning about how, because there's sort of HDMI that's going to come out of this side, USBs that come out of this end. Power, I think, will continue to bring on its headers, but it does have other headers and stuff coming off there. So it's got to fit in and look neat and not get overheated. So a little bit of an air gap in behind it would be great. Be great to be able to get to its SD card, because no doubt we'll be doing loads of software updates on it. So just making sure that these things are easy to get to when it's mounted in, so it doesn't become a complete ball. Like, oh, want to keep the audio as well, because there is an audio out on the screen. Anyway, because I want to put speakers in it. So the monitor does have a little bit of audio on it. It is quite a nice monitor from that point of view, but I do think we could do with bigger speakers in it. So that's all cool. So that's task 1. We need to do a bit of casting as well. We need to do the next one of the casts. And yeah, we might also look at the Pisces screens. So for those of you who are at SitCon, you will remember these things. So these things are another thing that we built. And they were basically to launch the Anvil Pisces. And is there an audio out on the screen? Yes, there is an audio out on the screen. So we could take it from that, but then it's all that kind of, yeah, I don't know. We've got to take a HDMI out that side of it anyway, so it might be tidier to take it out of the Pi, which you'll see. I honestly can't remember how tight to fit the screen is. I don't think there's a huge amount of room for taking cables out the side of it. So I know James did buy some 90-degree bend USB-Cs, and we do have a 90-degree mini HDMI, and I'm pretty sure that's because it's such a tight fit in the cabinet that we had to do all these 90-degree bending cables just to get in. So yeah, that might be an issue. So these screens here, we have 2 more of them. They have a slight problem in that this lower sort of cockpit canopy, excuse me, I'm yawning already. Some more coffee, I think. This cockpit canopy is totally filled in. So it was a lasering error by the company. Wasn't in the proofs they sent us, but when the things finally arrived, that was solid. So we had to have a reprint done. So they lasered another pair of these mahoosive things for us. So we have 2 of these sat downstairs. And I thought it'd be really nice to mount one on the wall over there, but actually build a frame for it, to wall mount it, to light it, do all the stuff. So we can do a bit of drawing on that, and I say do some casting. So that's kind of what I'm thinking of for this evening. Yeah. Let's do a bracket first, then do some casting. Let me get my drink, because my drink has caffeine in it. It's not coffee, but it's got caffeine in it. It'll do. It's been a long day. I've made way too much IKEA furniture in the last 2 days, so I should show it in a minute. Right. So, this is the Pisces screen stuff, but it's fine. We'll just design this bracket in here as well and just export it out. So, it's not a particularly big. It's not a particularly big power supply. It's a 3 amp 5 volt, and this will be running the Pi, the screen, maybe some LEDs. We do need to light it, so I think the only lights that are actually on this unit are up here, and there are bits in the cabinet for them. There is gaps for them. It's probably 18 inches of LEDs each side, so they're not going to draw a lot. So I'm not too worried about that. So I'm pretty sure this power supply is going to be enough. So let's just make a quick bracket for her, so that we can mount it in and make it look pretty. So 65mm. I do want to see endpoints. And 51 mil? Yeah, 51 mil. Really? I'm not in this program now? Come on. Why am I not typing? Thank you. Okay, so we'll just do this in a cheap resin, I would think. Just some grey resin. $28 mil. Bring it up 28 mil. So I think just an L bracket, because we kind of want to leave all these holes, all this sort of Swiss cheesiness is all for cooling, for all the components. So we don't want to cover any of those up. So we really just do want it to be to catch these couple of screws. Now, annoyingly, it's just got a couple of screws in the bottom and a couple of screws in the side. It's not particularly heavy. I think the couple of screws in the side will be enough to secure it without any real issue. Do I want any more than that? No, I don't. So that's fine. So the screws that we'll use to screw it into the cabinet can be underneath the unit here. So that's fine. How thick do we want to make it? We're not too worried about the cost of the resin here. We'll make it 3 mil. We'll make it pretty chunky. We want it to be fairly robust because we want it to survive, and we want to screw some stuff through it. So it's always a good idea to just to make that a little bit tougher than we would usually. At the end of the day, there's different rules for making one-off things compared to like kit model-y type things. So we'll just make this a little bit longer, 3 mil longer, and then just put a little triangle in here just to give it a bit of rigidity. That, so that'll just give it a little bit of poke in this back corner. Right, now we need to get these holes in the right place, because otherwise we will have made a complete balls of it. So measuring centers, we have got 51. And gosh, 11.5. Okay. Oh, it's hello, James. So the stormtrooper here is James, and here's the amazing human being that actually designed all the tech for this project. So any technical questions, guys, we need to ask James, because he should know. So the big question is, James, how do we make the RFID chip thing work? Oh, magnetic sensors. Oh, that's interesting. Tell us more. Cool, I did notice there were some of those in the bag. No fucking idea what they were for. Oh, that's interesting. So oh, that's fine then. Right, so the sensors, those determine the open close. So that sort of tells it that it's opening, or yeah, you'll have to fill me in on those, mate. I'll just do those as 3mm holes. I'll make them 1.6 radiuses just because it'll no doubt print slightly smaller. Okay. So I think that's kind of all this needs to be. If we're honest, then we just need some holes in the bottom. Yeah, 2 sensors, 1 mounts on the door and 2 for the start-stop. Ah, right, got ya. So it knows where its 2 positions are. That's interesting because we can, when we change this over to being a stepper motor, we can use them as its zeroing points. So that should be 6 years miles range software for touchscreen vending machines. This would be like a bad dream for you. Welcome to hell. Yeah, that's really interesting, actually. So, yeah, I totally didn't have those on the door. Well, I mean, we were just sort of floating stuff. So, oh, there's links. It's better not be porn again, James. Oh, no, it isn't. Right, okay, cool. That is a keyboard to give you all sorts of migraines. Ah, right. That does explain the massive LED as well. Is that a different header to the one I've got? Let's look at that again. God, that keyboard, dude. Oh my god. Alright, okay, so that's just instead of putting it on the header pins. Okay, that's cool. Cool, so I suppose it does, so what, it sends its triggering signal. Yeah. Okay, cool. Cool. That works, that's fine. Makes sense. It makes sense to have sensors because then it can throw error messages if there's something wrong. Because the advantage of the sensors, even when we've got the stepper motor, is if there is something that gets in the way of the door, the stepper motor program will think it's closed and the door won't be, so it'll know there's an error, and therefore we can actually trigger it to open the door again, because that means that something's got in the way of its closing cycle. So that would be actually really useful. So probably have its zeroing point at the top, but use that as a extra level of safety sensor. So the door does come down on something, for boom, it should be less than a second before it'll just open up again anyway. Yeah, that makes total sense. Because I mean, even with the stepper, I'm hoping to close this in about a second. A second's quite a long time for a door that's only 2 foot high. So, if we've got that mechanism in place, we can use that as extra safety sensors, which would be cool. Nice. Right. So what was I doing? I'm just going to. I don't want that. I want to make this. I want to kind of. Have my 2 screw holes in the bottom of this. I'm just going to need to have it a bit thicker, but I don't want to waste. I don't want to waste too much resin on this. It's going to be ridiculous. In fact, yeah, let's bump that up a mil, and slope this in a mil, just so it doesn't have a hard time printing and require loads of supporting. That'll just take a little bit of this insane amount of resin out. Cool. And then we shall just horse some screws in here. Actually, no, I suppose I want that probably there, don't I? Oh. Yeah, second field forever when you're coding. Yeah, I can get that. It's forever if a door's trapped on your hand as well. But one suspects it's only really going to hurt if you've got it trapped right at the bottom and it's sort of pinning your frail old arm or something into into it. It really shouldn't be a problem otherwise. It's not a particularly heavy door. That there, and just chamfer this edge by a mil. Will that be enough? What kind of screw heads am I going to use on this? Yeah, it does. You won't be surprised that they're quite finicky about all that stuff. Cool, do that. Cool. So that's given us just two little chamfered screw holes at the bottom to screw it to the unit. Am I worried that this is a little bit close to the edge? Yes, I am. So I'll just move this in a little bit. Should be fine. Right. Okay. Cool. So that's our little bracket for this little deanery. Nothing particularly outlandish. No, I don't want to do that. I want this. Let's make a component. Let's check see if it's a solid. Fine, reverse all the faces. There we go. Sorry, so that's a solid. So that can come and go into the thing for printing, but we should do our Raspberry Pi one next. I'll keep all these separate, just because I don't know how we want to arrange them around the place. Now, I would think a Raspberry Pi, there will be a schematic for a Raspberry Pi. What did we decide this was? 3B plus. It's bound to be. There we go. Boop. That's not what I asked for. That's what I asked for. Right, cool. So there's our schematic. Right, let me just throw it on my other screen over here so I can see it, and then we can draw it. Yeah, no, I mean the software we've got in this isn't too. I don't think it's not. I'm going to sound. It's not horrendously complex yet. There's quite a lot of places that we want to take it on the James, because it's one of those things that we kind of want it to go forward for some other projects we've got in mind. Being able to bring the steppers onto it is the next sort of task, because stepper motors are so much more flexible than air. The problem with air is that it's in or out. It's great for events, it's really dependable, but it's a little less nuanced than stepper motors, because if we can sort of play around with steppers a bit more, we can, like, for example, for this door, I'm pretty sure there is like a fucked up Covalex unit in Grimhex, I think. I'm sure there used to be like these missions where you would go down and there would be a fucked up one where you do some like drug drops, and you would like click the thing and it would sort of like start to open and judder and go down a bit and then kind of creep up and then finally open. That's the sort of thing you can do with stepper motors. You can mimic that sort of silly movement and and what I was thinking was, I know we won't have this header on anymore, or we might not need this header, but I am tempted to keep this header for the relays, maybe, because then we can make the lights flicker and stuff. I suppose we could run 5-volt LEDs and just run them straight from the Pi. Would be the other option. Most of my LEDs are all 12-volt. Tend to use 12-volt, but I could get some just white 5-volt LEDs and we could run them from the Pi board anyway, so we wouldn't need this header, because we might need a different header for this to output to the steppers, but probably not, if we're honest, because we're only running one stepper motor, so that's only going to be a couple of outputs, 4 at most, I would think. Yeah.
I'm just happy to blame JR immediately, but if you insist, we will look at the evidence.
Thank you, Flying Sparrow, for the follow. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Nicotine. How are you? So yeah, so that's cool, right? Let me get my schematic up. Let me get my schematic up. I'm at 56. By 85. And then, yeah, what is the, yeah, 3.5 now. I was going to say, surely it tells you. 58. Cool. How big? I think these are 3 mil, aren't they? Sure, these are 3s. Yes, they are. Kaboom. Right. Okay. So that's kind of like our bottom plate for this. How deep do we want this to be? Let's go 5, which is ludicrous, and then we'll take some out the bottom. Although we don't need it to be the same size as the board, I do think it's quite nice to have it the same size as the board. Might even radius the corners as well, actually. If I'm honest. Just again, because it would look quite nice. Yeah, why not? Why not go that extra bit we don't need to do? Sorry, I can't see chat at the second. Already Wednesday? Dear. Yeah, I like. Yeah, so James did this cool RGB code for the GSS unit when we did that as a fucked up version. We could do it for this. I'm not saying we shouldn't. I don't know whether installing RGBs in it is necessary. What color? Okay, so I suppose this is what it comes down to. In game, is it ever any other color but white? Would be my question. That's white. That's happening. Yeah, is it any other color but white? If it is, then awesome. We'll put RGBs in because then we can play around with the color to match it to certain places. Yes. But when you're at events, you never know if it's going to be a light room or a dark room, so yeah, you are always best to assume that it's going to be awful. Gotta be honest. Right, so we'll just do that. There we go. Again, just 2 screws in this will be fine. Just go down the center line with them. So 1 there. And 1 there. And then again, we can just bevel these edges. Just to allow us to put some countersunk screws in. Now, what we do need to do is allow ourselves a couple of mil for a screw.
I'm just happy to blame JR immediately, but if you insist, we will look at the evidence.
Calicomat. Calicomat, yes. Thank you for the follow. That takes us to 997. 3 more needed, people. Yes, no, I also like the other cool ideas. I mean, to be honest, this is one of those things that there isn't really a limit to where you can take it. I think the issue starts to let's just pump this up a mil because otherwise it's going to be a bit thin. If we're going to take this down 3, I do think we need to make this better incrementally. But I think, to be honest, once the hardware's in, like once we've got the steppers in and stuff, there's not an awful lot left that would need to change hardware-wise to be able to do a lot of its new, like, other party tricks. And I think that's the thing. That's kind of a cool thing for me, is that we can get it to a place hardware-wise and then just make it cooler with software and software updates. Is one of the awesome things that Stephen the Geek got running with the like the Star Citizen crates we used to do. One of the cool party tricks of those things was that the software could be updated via the internet. So you didn't even need to they were Wi-Fi enabled, so you didn't even need to I just don't want that. How bizarre. Okay. We can do that and then do that. No, it's not what I asked you to do. How weird. Go there. Stop being weird. Yeah, you could update the software on it remotely. So you could update stuff without even, like, telling me, basically. Just like, oh, I made it better. Oh, cool. Thank you for that. Carry on. What is going on here? Weird. Just weird. Oh, I see. It's like 2 different curves of varying levels of niceness. Fair enough. It's fine. Right, cool. So that allows us to put screws on underneath. And then screw up through, put that on. We can put a spacer on. We'll do a little bit of weight saving, because otherwise this will get a bit balmy. That's interesting. Just do this, just to make sure we've not got those issues. Like that. So that will just weight save that plate a little bit. Actually, we could even go a little bit further than that. Don't know if this is a good idea or not, to be honest. No, it's fine. It doesn't need any more weight saving. Right, so that is that one. So is there anything else we need to consider with this? That'll be floating, that'll be floating. No, I think we're good. So this is just a relatively simple just plate. No errors. Right, so cool. So those 2 things can go for printing. And then, yeah, that just means that we can mount these in nice and secure. We can be pulling cables on and off them. I'm not having to just sort of builder's band shit onto it, which would be cool. So I'm not going to bother making one for this because this just have some screw holes and this isn't going in for very long. Same with the actual air valve. It actually has some holes in it. We can wallop some screws through. Again, just want to get it working on air. Get it working as it was supposed to get working, take some videos of it, get it repainted, just make it look like it was supposed to at the event, quite frankly, get some cool videos, and then we'll start playing around making it better. But yeah. I'll believe you, James. None of that makes sense to me. But this 3Bs are Wi-Fi, aren't they? I do have Wi-Fi in the garage, so I mean, I suppose that's the sounds like a plan. Sounds like a plan. So yeah, so that would be cool, right? So let's just throw this into. Don't save. Oh, I need just okay. Right, so let's throw this. I think it's a 3B. I don't think 4s were out back in the day. Right, so let's export this as an STL, millimeters, STL. What are we calling this? I suppose we kind of need projects 2021. Let's make a new folder. Let's call it Covalex. Let's call that pi bracket. Oh, so needed to call that STL. Stupid plugin does not actually put a file name at the end. .stl. Okay, 5 volts bracket .stl. Cool. Open. We need. No. Projects 2021. Covalex 5 volt bracket. See, it's quite big. Gonna be honest, it's quite big. 4 has many HDMI, I believe, to them. No, this is definitely 3 then, because yeah, this is definitely big ass USB, just the one of them. Doesn't say it on the bottom. I think it says it on the front, but we've covered it up with all of the things. That's cool. It's got 2 HDMIs. That's kind of sweet. Right, so we want to do. We don't need this to be in tough. We'll do this in grey resin. Do this in grey resin, and we'll do it at 100 micron. It's fine. Now, in theory, we should be able to just print it like that, and it won't kill me. It should be fine. Yeah, be fine. Sure it will. And then we'll also have the 5. Oh no, that was the 5 volt bracket. We need the pi bracket. Pi bracket. Now this, we will need to orientate it. What do we want? I mean, maybe that could work. That'll save on red. So you can build. I should really go onto that screen. So you can build straight onto the build platform on these printers. It's not always advisable, but I think the surface area on this will be enough. I think it'll be fine. Will it do weird things if we do it like that? I don't want to have loads of touch points. We'll try it. Will we though? Will it be an appalling mess? No, it's fine. It'll be fun. Yeah, I think it should be fine too, Drew. I think that'll be absolutely fine. So let's send it to a printer. Let's send it to Marvelous Shark. I know it's got model in it, but we'll put model in it. Upload job. So that's cool. So that's winging its way to Shark. Let's go. Oh, I tell you what we could do. We could take a camera. Take a camera. I may get juttery because it's trying to upload the print. I'll warn you that now. So let's go through here. It's a slight issue because I can't see a camera and me. So that'll do. That'll do. That'll do, donkey. Right, so we need to change resin. So I do have quite long cables and everything now. Which does make this sort of thing a little bit more possible. So this has got model resin in it at the moment. It's also got a print in it. So it's just done an optics test, which is a tiny little print, but just because we've cleaned it today, so that just checks that it is fine. Model resin, take the model resin out, get rid of that. Find the box for it. Put its cover on, pull it out. So that is model resin removed. And we need a grey. Grey resin. In. Cool. Build platform. Resin. Start a new cartridge, I think. Boom. That's one thing I love about foam printers is how easy they are to change resins. So, pi bracket, pi, 4 hours 22. Go! I shall leave you to watch that for a moment. Okay. It won't really do anything. Can you see its screen? You can't see its screen. I kind of want to see its screen. Yeah. I mean, it's not the greatest of views, I'll be honest. I'm just trying to rejig my camera a little bit here. I kind of want to see the. That'll be fine. That'll do. I need to obviously get more cameras. Red Monster, how are you? How are you? It's like you've almost done this before. I have once or twice. To be fair, it is stupid easy to change resin on Formlabs printers. It's one of their many amazing things that they do. How are you, Red Monster? Had any good streams? I saw you tweeted out your 1 to 500 dioramas arriving. Thank you very much. And your dirt artwork. Oh, that reminds me. We need to do a giveaway. Let's give away some J-Rex. Let's give away some J-Rex. We should give away 250 J-Rex, which is enough to get yourself the Invictus artwork prints. We also have, I think, 5 other sets of artwork prints with CIG waiting for approval. So loads of artwork to get with your JREX. Now these artwork prints, just to be very clear about these will never be available to buy. They will never be. How are you? They'll never be available to buy. They'll never be available. We might give some away on directly on streams, but people won't be able to buy them. The only way to get them is with our reward points. They're entirely exclusive rewards for our customers. So you'll see it's filling with resin. If I could get it to focus, that would be even better, wouldn't it? Oh, let's I should probably can't actually read what it's saying. Sources. I don't know what it's focusing on, if I'm honest, but we'll try and force the focus a little bit. It's about as good as we're getting, apparently. Which is a bit rubbish, to say the least. Yeah, this will be my Christmas list. Will be some better little cameras. I think the acrylic's confusing it, but you can sort of see it's heating up. It's about at 25 degrees. You can sort of see at the back right, it's putting resin into the tray. Yeah, burn the printer easier than fixing a camera. Absolutely, because I'm not having to do it. It's doing it itself. It's all good. I think, to be honest, it's probably how shiny that acrylic is. It's just annoying its focus. Right, so we need to do some casting. So we can leave. Kind of leave that in the bottom corner anyway. So I shall keep you informed of what the fuck that thing's doing. So we've got 3 of these now. These are our casts for the Carrack canopies. 5 in each one. We've got 3 so far. I can get 7 in the pot. So I'm going to make another one. Now, after the slight debacle last time of how annoying my mold was, I have subsequently left it in IPA with the hope that it's got all of the gunky material off from A, the tapes we've been using on it, and B, the silicone. So I thought I just have a pot of cruddy IPA. Yeah, that's lovely. It'll just mean that once we've pulled it out the mold, put all the pieces in this pot of IPA, and we get nice fresh clean mold block every time, because it was really annoying to put back together again, to say the least. To say the least. How are you, No Geek, by the way? Sorry, I completely missed that was your comment. But yeah, so that's cool. So for anyone out there who hasn't seen us do this before, we're making silicone molds. So we need to do a 2-part silicone, and we also need this guy here, which is our master. So this is 5 Carrack bridge canopy print. So this is the same. We've not damaged it yet. I'm not particularly worried about damaging it. It's quite hard to get out the mold, but there isn't really any fragile bits on it. It's quite a solid. No, I hope I'm good background noise. Shh. I could just be like white noise. I can do whale sound effects if you like. But yeah, no, it's I don't think we'll damage it. We should get all of our molds out of it. I was originally going to do 14 of these, but I just don't think it's necessary, if I'm honest. If we get all of these 7, I'm making 35 at a time. I'll get a cast done a day, so a week gets me a lot, you know. So a week's getting like 150 at least. So I can't see me needing to produce them faster than that. All right, we'll keep this IPA. It's obviously got crud floating around in it now, but so we won't be putting it in to clean prints with, but it'll do for this. Right, so that's our mold block pieces clean and not covered in sticky residue. So you'll see every so often the printer will run its scoosher across just to mix the resin up a bit. So this is the Form 2 that's down in the left-hand corner. This is an old printer. The Form 3s are the current release of printer. I will use the labels again though, because they were actually really good. They were just really, really handy. I wonder if we can be really arsey and do it like this. That would be quite cool. This is going to go horribly wrong, I can tell. There might be enough flex in these stickers to let us get away with it, though, in the grand scheme of things. That would be awesome. So in the pre-roll to the show today, I put 2 new trailers on it. I don't know particularly why I like putting game trailers in the pre-roll, just because it's games I quite like the look of, really. But 2 really cool games I want to play. So Patron is French, I think. It's got an accent on it on something I saw, but I don't know if that was just a French video. Anyway, Patron or whatever it is. City Builder. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of RTS. City Builder especially. Well, no, I say especially oldie worldy ones. Actually, that's not true. I like all genres. I like sci-fi ones. I like old worldy ones, but it looks really cool. Thank you, James. My voice is like white noise. I'm not actually sure how to take that. I'll take it as a compliment. We'll just go with it. We'll just go with it. Thank you, Liz. But yeah, so Patron looks awesome, as does Frostpunk 2. I'm a big fan of Frostpunk. Took me a little bit of time to get into it. But yeah, really like that game. Really like that game. Right, so let's see whether this weird idea has worked. So those things, in theory, it should be fine. Just gonna get everything to line up properly. Yeah, okay, that wasn't too bad. It is so much easier to do. Now it's not unpleasantly sticky, has to be said. don't get me wrong, if I was remaking this, I would make the legs a lot longer on the cuts, because it has been a little bit of a trial to keep putting this back together each time. But you kind of think, oh, it's fine, we're getting there with it now. I don't want to have to rebuild it all again. So let's put our master in here before we tape up too much. Tape the seams on the inside, because that's actually where we get the leakage, is on the inside seams. So I've been putting a bit of tape actually inside it, which did not stick very well the last 2 times, but again I think that's because of all the horrid residue we'd left in it, because first time it was fine. So just putting tape on the inside on these seams, because we're going to put this under pressure, so it's girls like JR. I hope boys do too. Apparently I'm a listenable person. Perhaps I should try like doing the sort of, was it the asthma streams? I've been close to an asthma stream, I think, to be honest. Let's be honest. Perhaps it's the unrecognizable accent I have of, well, boy that tries to get rid of his whole accent. You and Carl knows what I mean. Yeah. I'm really good at picking up other people's accents, actually. It's like I used to have quite a thick Yorkshire accent when I used to live in Yorkshire, and it doesn't take me long to be around my cousin before it's all Audu and Watter and everything else. Pick that up very, very fast. I unfortunately pick up a Birmingham accent really quick. My best man at my first wedding was a Brummie, and I actually got married with a Birmingham accent because I'd spent 3 days with him. Bastard. I didn't want to get married with a Birmingham accent. Birmingham accent's fucking horrid. From Birmingham? I do. It's dreadful. Used to be able to pick up a Newcastle accent quite well because project manager at the last place I worked at, Matt Wilson, is a toonie, so he used to rub his accent off onto me whenever we were on long jobs. so yeah, I pick up other people's accents really quickly. Actually, it's not something I do deliberately. Thankfully, I've yet to pick the Essex accent up off Cali. So there are small mercies. Small mercies. I can impersonate it when I need to, but thankfully it's not something that's that accidentally appears in my vocabulary. So let's be thankful of that, eh? Let's be thankful of that. So the printer is now, we've now started the print. So it's the build platforms come all the way down into it, and to start the printing, 4 hours 20. Cool, right, I'm gonna go and get that camera back because we shall use it for doing this. Oh, you can see all the glorious IKEA. Look at all the IKEA! So much IKEA! So much IKEA. So they're double depth. And then we've just put loads on the wall. It's like, oh, Jesus. But yeah, so we've got... So the way that we print these kits, this is all the Carac stuff laid out. So we can see if we go into this box here, that's aft sections, and That's cargo pods, and they're the interiors for the bridge canopies, and there's the Pisces prints and stuff. So we have all of those boxes kind of out on the desk, and then we have like all of these are all labeled up. So that's their dioramas. So there's a rock diorama. That's 200 TR. There's the dragonfly down there. So yeah, it takes so many boxes to actually keep up with all this stuff. It's insane. Oh, I made my camera a bit short. There we go. Yeah, Yorkshire's going to look similar. You can never have too many IKEA cubes. Shut up. Yeah, you can never have too many cubes. Oh, people say, oh, why do you buy IKEA stuff? You're a carpenter. It's like, yeah, but I can't make this stuff for anything like as cheap as IKEA do. It's the joy of making stuff yourself. It's really expensive. I mean, the wood to make all that would be way more. However, I did make a worktop. You'll notice that this is not a standard IKEA worktop length. So it is a 3-meter worktop that I did make out of birch ply today. So I did make that just because you can't put. Oh God, this camera is so. I wonder if it's the light above it. I wonder if it needs like a shade over it. It's softer lighting, apparently. Right. Anyway, we can go to that for the minute. So we are going to mix up some resin. So that's our mold ready. We shall need our vacuum pot. That will be needed. We will need a mixing cup and some more paper towel. Hang on, people. There we go. Right. Yeah, the Hull accent is just dreadful. I've managed to avoid it. I was educated in Hull, but lived at the other side of the river, although I was born in Yorkshire. But, right. Paper towel. Quickly running out of this stuff, has to be said. And I think this is like, to look this up, was this the stuff that was 300 quid? This, I mean, decent silicons and resins are really expensive. Should I just look it up? Because I genuinely can't remember how much this was. Products. Silicon rubber. Where's that? Mold Star 15. Slow. £225 plus VAT for these 2 tubs. Yeah, it is not cheap. That ain't Yorkshire. You've lost my respect. Yeah, no, I was born in Hull, and then when I was young, we moved over to Wintringham, teeny tiny little village down the Humber on the Lincolnshire side, and then I moved to Barton, but I still went to school in Hull. Never went to school in Lincolnshire. Always went to school in Hull. Just came across the river every day. Mum was a teacher, so kind of, yeah. Lived one side of the river, but school on the other. Right, let's give these a mix. To be fair, I left Hull. It's very hard to leave Hull. Most of my friends that stayed in Hull never leave Hull. People don't leave Hull. I think it's because it's probably one of the cheapest places to live in the country, house price wise. So it's very difficult for people to leave because the house isn't worth a lot. So, seems to be my experience of Hull. I recommended quite a few people go to uni in Hull because it's a really good university, especially for business. It's good red brick, and it is the cheapest place to be a student. Hull is an amazing place to be a student because you can literally be the richest person there just on your student grant, and drink an awful lot for not a great deal. Right, so yeah. Beverly's. So this is the weird thing about Hull. Anyone who doesn't know things about Hull, that's made me concentrate 1 second. It's one of these odd cities where there isn't really an expensive, or than it used to be, an expensive part in the city. If you had any money, you moved out to Beverly and Cottingham. It's just like, yeah. If you had any sense or money, you ran away. Oh dear. The problem with Hull is, right, not many of you will have ever been to Hull, even if you live in the UK. You've probably heard about it in passing. Some guy you met in a pub has once been to Hull. And this is because you can't go via Hull to anywhere except Amsterdam, because there's a ferry that goes to Amsterdam. But the ferry leaves at like 6 o'clock, 5, 6 o'clock. You have to be boarded by like 5, 6 o'clock. So you don't tend to hang around in Hull, even if you're getting on the ferry. You just go and get on the ferry and go and hit the bar on the ferry. So you can't really, you can't really go via Hull because it's a terminus train station. It's one of the very few terminus train stations outside London, in fact. And the motorway stops at Hull. The M62 just stops at Hull. There's no major roads or travel things that go via Hull. You have to want to go there, and you've got to be fucking certifiable to want to do that. So yeah, it doesn't really get a lot of attention because not many people sort of, I went past Hull. It's like, no, you didn't. You were forced to go there. My mum doesn't like it when I take the piss out of Hull because she was Hull born and bred, but although she grew up in Doncaster actually, because my granddad was posted to Doncaster during the war. He was brought out. He was British Rail before the war, and then went as a boiler maker for the Navy, making boilers for minesweeping ships. And then when a lot of the railways were bombed out in the war, he was seconded back to British Rail to help rebuild the railways in Doncaster and then in Hull. So, although Mum was brought up in Hull, Grandad was actually from Doncaster, which is still Yorkshire enough. And the other side of my family never left the tiny Yorkshire village that they're in. They had a watermill there going back about 4 or 5 generations and never left the village. Yeah, Newport, Northgate. Well, yeah, no, it's. But you know what I mean? It's just like you can't. You've got to want to go there. You're going to Hull. You don't go via it. Thankfully, I grew more up family-wise around Whitby and Robin Hood's Bay and places like that, which I can thoroughly recommend to anybody. Right, we're going to snap this because then it fits in here with the stereo sticker. So, boom. If we're clever, which occasionally we are, we can have our pressure gauge camera. I wonder if this is actually still plugged in. It is! Look at that. So to start the seal, you kind of have to push down on it, and then it will seal. And it's certainly it's certainly pressurizing or depressurizing, I say, since this is a vacuum chamber, quicker now that we've got all this stuff. And I'm just going to move the camera down so you can see what's going on in there. So that is, see it all bubbling up, coming up the stick. Hopefully this won't overflow. It might do though. It has before. Usually it just gets to the top, yeah, and then all the bubbles explode. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Hello, Shadow Scares. So many bubbles. So many bubbles. Bubbles. I just can't get it. I tried, but yeah. So we've got this down to what, -27, which is just about -1 bar. Cold and dangerous north of the wall. So yeah, so Scotland is north of the wall. I'm currently north of the wall. Oh, that's quite a funky view, actually, isn't it? Sort of like, so it's like the pressure going off forever in the distance. Screenshot that. That could be my. That could be the. Oh, you're gonna make me watch Game of Thrones again. I've never seen the last season. Everyone said it was so shit. I never watched it. It's like, it's fine. I'll just never watch it. I'll just watch all the other series that are really good. Right, that seems happy. So we'll shut that one off and then let the air back in. What seems weird, let the air back in. It's like we're so used to doing with like pressurized containers and stuff, but it's like no, this is a negative pressure container. So that can go over there. Right, so we now need to pour it. Now, when you're pouring silicons or resins, the trick is to just start at one side from as great a distance as possible. If you don't have a degas chamber, you actually try and pour this from a ludicrous height, and that helps stretch out and pop the bubbles. But we've degassed it, so we'll be fine. And then we're going to pressurize it anyway, so shouldn't have that as a problem. We've definitely made plenty today. Bin, right, bit of resin floating in that. Right, pressure pot. So we're going to put this in a pressure pot. I'm going to put a bit of paper in the bottom because this will leak out. There is no doubt that this will leak out. It's leaked out every single time. Just not by a lot, it doesn't matter. We're not interested on the outside of this because all we're doing is creating the master for the, we're going to be pouring resin into this, so we really don't care about it. Right, I need to, what I really do need to do is put an airline hose point on this desk so that I don't have to go all the way through here to get pressure. Right, so we shall do pressure gauge cam, because you know that's the most exciting cam on the internet. Just pressure gauge cam. So we'll need to lock this down first. So I'm going to take this to 60 psi ish. This pot is rated to 80, so okay. It's so exciting. Go, pressure, go! That's 40. Yeah, I'm in the true north now in Scotland, so it's not as hard though. It's not like being around the Starks. They like to think they are, but they're not. Right, so that can go on the floor now. That can just stay there under pressure for 8 hours, and then that's done. It's funny. Lived in Glasgow a bit. Lived in Edinburgh. Edinburgh's obviously as soft as fuck, but the Glaswegians like to think they're hard. They should visit Newcastle. That's all I can say. They don't know what drinking is. The Glaswegians are perfectly pleasant compared to proper Northerners. Right, so let's bring me poor man's Stream Deck. Cool. Right, so no, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do that. Cool. So that is our first 2 tasks done. So now we're going to just have a look at these Pisces screens, since we're here. So what I'd like to do with the Pisces screens is Smart Man Stream Deck. Yeah, kinda. I'll go with that. It seems to be, yeah, which is more useful because it's wireless. It does exactly the same thing. You have to write with little stickers what each thing does, but that's fine. Works. It's also only 12 quid. So, infinitely cheaper. Doesn't light up. But to be honest, I don't have to see it in the dark. So it's fine. And to be honest, all I'd have to do is remember what 9 buttons do. I can probably cope with that. Exactly. I'm sure Stream Decks actually are a lot better, but for what we use it for, we have to run around the room and change cameras and stuff, and it's only going to get worse as we get more and more cameras, so that we can be in more and more places at once, which is the plan. I will say the biggest thing, a lot of people have asked us, like, oh my god, your stream setups, they're insane. I can't imagine how many scenes you have in OBS. 1. This is all on 1 scene on OBS, and that's because the new version of OBS has amazing source transfers and effects. So it's just like, it's just hotkeys on sources. That's it. So it's like all 1 scene, dead easy. Can't go wrong. It's amazing. Right, so this is the original screen that was at CitizenCon. So it had a 55-inch LG. We've got a pair of a matching pair of 55-inch LGs that go in this bottom bit, and they sort of nicely slid in from the back, and that was all nice and groovy. And they had the Carrack trailer running on them, and then the Pisces blueprint acrylic lit up acrylic thing. So that's quite nice. Yes. It's really easy. It genuinely is. But this is all OBS version 27, so it's a new patch of OBS, and that's what's making all the difference. You didn't used to be able to do it on the old one. But this new update is huge. The other thing this new update does, and I know you've got an NVIDIA like RTX graphic card, you can do the RTX noise filtering within OBS now as a filter. And it's supposed to work better than the native like stuff. So I'd like to try that. So plan is for Sunday, if I can get it set up in time, is we'll be down in the workshop, the other workshop, the wood workshop, fitting some stuff into the Covalex unit. Jimmy Boy's going to be here as well as co-host, which is very exciting, so he can actually talk me through what the hell I'm doing. And so what I'm going to do, I don't have an RTX card, mine's a 1080 Ti. The one in that machine is a 1650 Ti or something, ludicrous, cheapy card, but just what it needs to. And then Callie's rig has a 2070 in it. So what I'm planning to do is pull the 2070 out of Cal's computer, put it in that one, take that card, put it in hers, because she doesn't game on hers, so she doesn't really need it. And then I can take that PC downstairs, NDI link up to this PC for the stream, but it'll mean that I can actually use RTX voice in the workshop because we're going to be using some things that are noisy as fuck. So we will see. We are going to properly test RTX voice to see whether it can cope with my CNC machine, because that will be insanity. Because I don't think it's going to do it. That thing makes every frequency of noise known to man at 3,000 decibels. So it's, yeah, that's going to be, yeah. Your sirens, yeah. But like, the thing with the CNC, I will genuinely be impressed. The thing with the CNC machine is I have like airport grade Pelter ear defenders for wearing down there, and if you don't, you can't be in the room with it. It is so loud, especially when it's like horsing through wood. It is the loudest thing. So I'm going to have to not wear these. I'm going to have to wear my Pelters with like Bluetooth headphones underneath it, which is what I wear. I've got like Shure Bluetooths that go in here, the over-ear ones, because if you've got over-ear headphones, you can then wear ear defenders on the top of them, which is why I bought them. So I'll still be able to hear James and stuff, but I say I'll be so impressed if it can hear. But I don't know what I'm going to use as a mic yet. So it's going to be really interesting. It's either not going to work at all, or it's going to be great. So the backup is I'm just going to have to mute myself when I'm not talking, and basically when the machines are running, James is going to have to do all the talking. So that should be good fun. Right, so we're not trying to rebuild this because these are really tall. These are over 3 meters tall, and so they wouldn't fit in any of the rooms I have. I just want to make a wall mounting frame that's basically just this top bit. So that's kind of what I want to make. Now this one had a steel frame inside it to keep it upright for the event, because obviously it has to be safe and all the rest of it. We don't need that because we're going to be attaching it to a wall, so the wall's going to be the structural part of it. This is really just a decorative frame and something to hold the LEDs in. So it doesn't need to be anything like as complicated as what we built for CitizenCon. But I'm going to use this to get its measurements, basically. Seems really incomplete, this. Like, I wonder if I had another version of it. I wonder if I've just messed it up because I've moved all the parts. Let's put it back together virtually. How stupid is that? Sounds like me. There we go. Should be a bit for the top. There's a bit for the top. That looks like it's the smallest bit, doesn't it? Oh, that's interesting. It's always very weird coming back to for science. Indeed, Drew. It's always weird coming back to old drawings that you haven't seen in ages. It's quite bizarre. Because like I draw so differently than I used to, even just back like in 2019. It's like it's bizarre. You almost vomited at your buck files. I know what you mean. I nearly vomited when I said no. It's, I don't want to see any. I'm one of those people. I don't like seeing my old work, which is really sad because it's really nice, and it's like I shouldn't be. I shouldn't be ashamed of my old work because it's a lot of it's really really nice. So we don't need this channel anymore because we're not going to be putting metal in it, so we can get rid of this channel. But I know exactly what you mean. It is quite difficult seeing stuff that was effectively just part of your learning process, and you don't really want to be associated with it anymore. I know that feeling for sure. The Kraken. Never want to see that or be associated with that ever again. Cool, so we're just going to get rid of this channel because I don't really want it in this build. So this is the LED channel. So this little groove here is for the LEDs. Now this was all 18mm timber, which is slightly problematic because I don't have any 18mm timber. I only have 12 on the shelf at the moment, so we're going to have to do it out of 12, even though that channel's going to be too shallow. So we're going to have to take it off the back. Yeah, that's fine, just is what it is. And we'll have to put a second piece of wood on the back. Well, that's fine. I'd rather use 12 because I've got it. I vomited on my Buckfast. I haven't, although I live in the country, I have not sunk to those levels yet, Many Flames. I've got to be honest. For all of those of you lucky enough not to have come across Buckfast tonic wine in your lives, try and keep it that way. Try and continue to live your life without the knowledge of Buckfast tonic wine. It's not going to do you any favors knowing about it. It's not something that is ever going to be in your best interest. Let's put it that way. Yeah, just don't go there. Don't even Google it. It's as soon as you know it exists, somehow it'll get into your life. It's just not worth it. Right, I'm gonna move. Do I want to keep this in the center? How do I want this cabling to work? Tonic wine, yes. See, now you're gonna make me show you what Buckfast is. Okay, here we go, peeps. Don't tell me I didn't warn you. The story of Buckfast tonic wine. So I'm not 100% sure why. Oh really? Oh, is this because you're not going to like Chrome? Oh, no, you're even more derpy than that. Oh, now I've moved it off the screen. So this is Buckfast tonic wine, people. You're not my birthday name. Send me a present. It's made by monks down in England somewhere. It'll probably tell us where it is. Buckfast Abbey. I'm aware it's Buckfast Abbey, but where is Buckfast Abbey? Andover, Way Hill. This isn't helping me. I don't know. I don't know Englandshire very well. Once you get down towards the capital. So here we are. It's here-ish. There it is. There's Andover. Oh god, we are very south, aren't we? So there's London. This is Wessex Downs, just below the North Wessex Downs. Near Newbury and Basingstoke and Salisbury and Winchester. On the way to Southampton and Portsmouth. So this is where Leela lives. For all those people who aren't aware that Leela lives in Portsmouth. It's Portsmouth. So it's not like she doesn't live very far away from us, because we live here. And she lives here. It's ridiculous. There's Callie's house. There's Leela's house. And there's our house. No, it isn't. Sort of there, but not actually there. There's our house. Oh, here we are. The yellow star is us. So look how far Leela is. Virtually the whole country. So yeah. So Buckfast Abbey is here, and it's this little abbey that makes this bizarre tonic wine, and for some reason it is the drink of bums and alcoholics in Scotland. It's 15% proof, comes in a wine bottle size thing, and is cheap. And it has just become this, basically the sort of like just the drink of bums, basically, in Scotland. It's yeah, you miss it. Unless you're in Scotland and on a street corner, you don't have to drink it. But it's somehow, and well, so there is another reason why they drink it. In the same reason that Newquay Brown Ale is the drink of Newcastle, although it is brewed there at least. So the Scottish beers is Tennant's. Tennant's comes in a can. It's really hard to glass someone in the face with a can. So Buckfast is strong, cheap, and comes in a weapon. And that's why Newquay Brown Ale is so popular in Newcastle. It comes in a very thick glass bottle. Newquay Brown Ale bottles are a good 1.5 millimeters thicker than they really need to be. So when you glass someone with one of those, they really know about it. So yes, it's a drink. Has it not been brewed there in ages? Well, it's still available. It's still thick glass. Yeah, so it's alcohol wrapped in a weapon. And the monks are fine with this. This is what I don't understand. The monks know exactly what this shit's been used for because it's the only place they sell it. It's just funny. Anyway, that's cultural lessons of Glasgow. Dear. Yeah, it's bizarre stuff. Bizarre stuff. All right, so I've reduced all this out to 12 mil. So we will need a back plate, but we need a back plate anyway because we're going to need to sandwich this all together somehow. Right, so we're probably going to need to sandwich this together and then have a back. This doesn't need to be as pretty as a Citizen Con one because that needed to be seen from both sides. Stay for the stabby tips. Absolutely. No, it's a warning. I'm just telling you the most likely thing you're going to get glassed by in various places in the UK when you come to visit. I can say this, though. You're very unlikely to get shot. If you go out drinking with madmen at 3 in the morning and call them bad names, you might get glassed, but you are on virtually zero chance of getting shot for it. So you can be as, I'm not saying this is a dangerous country, it certainly isn't. But Newcastle can be, I think the thing about Newcastle that always amazes me is that pretty much everywhere else in Great Britain, we're all heavy drinkers, let's be honest. In Great Britain, we are, it's we're a fairly boozy, fighty place, and it tends to be a Friday and Saturday night. Newcastle doesn't have that Friday and Saturday night thing. It's every single night is go out drinking night. I think that's why it's got such a reputation, because every night is drinking night. So we're going to need to tie this together as a frame so that we can mount the acrylic in and put all the LEDs around it. We need this to be a solid piece. So we can either... What are our options actually if we've only got 12mm to play with? Okay, we're just gonna have to build an external frame, put it in, and then yeah, that's fine. Oh, we do. Well, yeah, that's the other thing. We do actually need a solid plate in the back of this because we don't want to be able to see the wall through it. So that's fine. Well, fine. We can back it in with that. That's fine. You poor people. Shadow Scout is Scottish, indeed. Shadow Scout, have you ever drunk Buckfast? Are you truly Scottish? There's the question. Obviously, I'm just an interloper in Scotland. They haven't kicked me out yet. Don't say that, they'll start drinking the Dine. Nuka Brown Ale is nothing to write home about, you are right. It's, as I say, it's not designed to be a fine vintage. To be fair to it, no one ever claimed it was. So we'll sort of have this ring at the back. That is going to be very inefficient, materials-wise. But we might just have to live with it. We'll see. We shall see. We might just have to live with it. Sometimes you got to live with a bit of inefficiency for the strength, and these acrylic sheets are pretty impressively heavy. So we might just need to accept it. Yeah, Mad Dog 2020. Oh dear. See, I was kind of on WKD and stuff like that, must admit, and White Lightning. They were the sort of like whole brews of cheapness. I remember going to Ireland quite a bit when I was like 18, 19, and they had Smirnoff Ice, but on tap in pubs. It's like Ireland's the only place in Dublin that I've seen Smirnoff Ice on tap. I was, of course, drinking Guinness, because what the hell else would you ever drink in Ireland? But yeah, Smirnoff Ice on tap, that was a bit weird. That was a bit weird. I'm going to pull all this out a little bit, I think. Do I need to? No, I don't. I think that'll be a thick enough frame. It's not quite as thick as the original one, but it'll be fine. Yeah. Guinness sounds amazing. Well, Guinness from the Guinness factory is totally different. Yeah, it's very nice. In several places in Ireland, in Dublin, because the Guinness factory is in the middle of Dublin, and there are actually pipes that run out of the factory directly into pubs. So there are pubs where you actually are getting Guinness from, like, literally piped from the factory. And in the olden days, they used to dig the streets up, try and find these pipes, just tap them. They probably still do, but yeah. I can thoroughly recommend Ireland. Ireland's a lovely place. Right, so that'll hold the frame together, and then we'll need to put a back piece in. Now the acrylic is 10mm. So there's a 4mm gap at the back of this. How often are those pipes flushed out? Never, Unji. It's a continuous stream. It's just like, it never stops moving. It's fine. 7% Guinness. That's hilarious. I can totally get that. I mean, yeah. Yeah, it's just, this is the thing about Guinness in Ireland. It never, so night and day, it still keeps going. It doesn't have time to cause an issue. It's all good. It's all good. It is like a 3-course meal though. If you have 6 or 7 pints of it, it's heavy, heavy stuff. You've got to really prep yourself to go out drinking Guinness, like all night drinking Guinness. It's you've got to prepare yourself mentally for it. What you making? So we're making a frame. We're making a frame for. I've got it open somewhere. So these things. These things are the Pisces blueprint screens that we made for CitizenCon. There was a manufacturing error. We didn't make them. We didn't have a laser this big, so we outsourced the manufacturer. And the first set we got were wrong. They'd fucked it up. And this screen down at the bottom here, the bottom Pisces one, was all filled in. So these are the ones that CIG had, but we have another set of them with this print error on them, or print lasering error, because these are lasered acrylic. They've been sitting in the pool room since just before the event, because that's when we ripped them out. So we thought, let's just make some frames for them. And the actual plan is, haven't mentioned this evening, did mention it on Sunday, the plan is I would like one on the wall over there, in the workshop up here, and then we'll probably sell the other one. With CIG's permission. I don't think they'll have any issue with it. They are ours. We did pay for the reprints. So the idea would be good luck to anyone who wants to buy them, because they're quite huge. Probably better if you're in the UK, if I've got to be honest. But they are quite cool though. They're 8 feet, so they're 8x4, bigger than 8x4 once they're in the frame, all side-lit LED and all the rest of it. So they're quite a cool thing. I'm bored of them just sitting in the corner gathering dust. I would really like one, but I probably don't need to, if I'm being honest. And since if we're making one, we might as well frame both of them. So that's the plan. So we're sort of modifying the designs of the modifying the designs of the old one. Sounds like an excuse for a bigger laser. Well, it's interesting. I don't actually want a bigger laser. Well, no, that's not true. If someone gave me a bigger laser, I would have a bigger laser. But one of the biggest problems with lasers is the bigger they get, the slower they get, because the heavier they get, and then the slower they accelerate and decelerate. So from a point of view of productivity, you don't really want to oversize a laser. Because these small ones, I mean, this is 700 by 500 mil bed, they move so quick because the bridges don't weigh anything, they're just flying around. Whereas when you have a laser this sort of size, these acrylic sheets took 36 hours each to laser because the whole bridge is so heavy that it can't go really quick. So it's like it would take up a lot of room. I mean, in theory, I suppose there wouldn't be really anything stopping us bolting a laser onto our CNC. I mean, you could mount that laser tube to our CNC bridge arm, so you didn't have to have too many sets of mirrors on it. Probably would survive it. So we in theory could build our own big laser, but for the amount this is the only project we have ever needed anything this sort of size. And interestingly, UNCAR, these guys are based down in Wakefield, so sending jobs to Wakefield. But yeah, I wouldn't. It's not something I'd buy myself, if I'm perfectly honest with you. So that's fine. So. Oh, okay, that's actually under 8 feet on the inside. Perhaps we could actually get away with this. So, if we... It would mean hand cutting this sheet, but... Fine. $2 mil. Hello, sir. Are you a CIG employee? No. Not really. I'm a contractor. I'm a CIG contractor. Well, we are a contractor. We're also a licensee holder for our models. I've worked with CIG since 2017, which is longer than most of the people at CIG. It's really funny when we have meetings. We have meetings with them all the time. It's like I've worked with you guys for longer than any of the people in this room. Yeah. We've worked with them for an awful long time, but no, we are not direct employees of CIG. We are. Yes, thank you, Drew. This is who we are. We're the mad bastards that build all the things for them, and we now build cool things for you guys too. Because I say now, we've been making licensed products for like 3 years now, at least. So yeah. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to fill it in a piece of. 6 mil on the back, almost 4, yeah. We're the miniature guys. Yes, I'm very little. I'm so small. Yes, we do. We do all the little models, and the really big models. We made a full-size dragonfly as well, and a really big kraken, and a really big raven, and full-size furniture. And yeah, if you've seen anything apart from those fucking doors in LA, that is a real-life physical representation of something from Star Citizen, chances are we built it. So that's where we currently stand on stuff that we did or didn't build. We didn't do the doors in LA. It was before my time. People are like, oh, why didn't you build them? It's like, because I'd never heard of Star Citizen when those doors were made. I didn't get into the game until 2017. That might not be true. I might have seen CitizenCon 2016. That was one with the sandworm. So I think I got into Star Citizen literally a month before the sandworm CitizenCon, which would have been 2946. Yes. And you can blame grey-headed gamer for getting me into this game, because that's how I discovered it. Do you already have the Big Benny's vending machine as a model? We don't actually. The only Big Benny's claim I have is we did a Big Benny's crate, cargo crate, and I have worn a Big Benny's cosplay suit once, but that was Das Astros at CitizenCon. No, Gamescom. Why? What sort of size Big Benny's vending machine are you looking for? Full size? Do we still have Big Benny's? I know we still have Big Benny's vending machines. I guess, have they fallen out of favour now because they're a little bit old hat maybe now? We did think about doing a little 1-to-100 Benny's Henge at one point as like a 1-to-100 diorama kit as a bit of a joke. Full size as a fridge. Yeah, so this is interesting. I say interesting. I find it interesting. The Big Benny's machine is. We've looked at it as an asset before, and it's so simplistic. It's just a box. It's just a box with a little screen on one side of it. I think it's such an old asset that there is so little to it. It would be so easy to build. I mean, the thing we're working on at the moment, we started the stream. We have one of these. So this is as it stands at the moment. This is an old project. We actually built this in 2019 and just never finished it because it was sort of like a personal project for us. It was for our trade stand, and yeah, so we built this, and we're sort of revisiting it at the moment. And we're going to do this paint scheme on it. The door works on it and everything. We have a touch panel screen that goes in there that you touch. It all works. The roller shutter opens. You can put a box in it. There's an RFID chip system in it that sort of lets the cabinet know whether it's the right box or not, so you can actually build actual missions to do at events. It's like gamification for events and stuff. So we never really got it finished. This was it sitting in the back of our stand, just undercoat painted, because it was for our stand. All the other work came in front of it, and we had loads more work than we did originally. Yes, we did also build that Raven. So this is one of the things we're working on at the moment. And the other thing, we're just trying to clear the workshop up a bit at the moment. I'm trying to move things around. We did build a Saber Raven. That was the first spaceship I've ever built, which was quite the adventure. Right, so I'm going to take this out as a pocket in this, and take this down. Oh no, get rid of this line first. Take this down 4 mil, just so that we can inset this back bit. Because this back piece we can actually just get out of a single sheet, and that'll go in the back, and then we'll vinyl the inside face of it, or paint the inside face of it, or maybe do a big print on it. Oh, thank you very much. It's been a ride. It's been a ride. We really want to get back to events. The models are cool. The models have kept us alive during COVID, but god damn, I want to get back to doing events. Big things. I like doing big things. Yeah, we could actually do a print behind the Pisces. I wonder how that would look. We could get a big like 8K, 4K, 8K image, and have it printed on vinyl. Get Ian to print me it out, and then vinyl the back of it. You'd want it to be pretty dark. Be interesting to see what the LEDs did to it. Can do. Yeah, no. So if you imagine the Haskar, if you imagine you've got kind of that, you don't want it too busy. Almost just like Starscape, or maybe a bit of a nebula or something behind it. But I don't know what the LEDs will light it. So it wants to be as dark as possible. You don't want it. I don't think it wants to be anything busy. Maybe a space station or something. I mean, nothing busy. We wouldn't want to put a Pisces there. I think it will become quite, quite overwhelmed by it. It's one of those things that obviously these were designed just to be seen through, but if it's going on a wall, we need something in behind it to sort of get that to work. So we will dump this in here as well, and just take this down by 4 mil. It's going to be a bit tight, but it's fine. And then this can actually be a piece of 6 mil. I know it'll stick out 2 mil in the back, but it really give a fuck. Right, so because it's going to be against the walls, no one cares. So that is our new encompassing design. So we're going to Go new from template. We'll just pull this into a. Oh, cancel. I want a new one. Give me a new one. Really? Where are you hiding? This is where my stream crashes, stream crashes. Dear. Right, so we'll just get this on its own in here. So now what we need to do is, last stage to this is to lay out its cuts. So that's a 4x8 foot sheet, but it isn't. So all wood comes in 8x4. So I do all my designs 2400 by 1200 millimeter wise, which allows me to cut that out of a 8x4 sheet, but it leaves me 8mm or over 8mm for the tool to go around the outside of it. So it's sort of like best of both worlds. Not make the mistake we made last time and not have a copy of this. Right, so this is an exciting game of CNCing, of trying to fit all the things onto one sheet. Fuck off, we don't need that. Alright. Trying to be as frugal as we can. Frames like this, you can never be frugal. This is the big issue, because inherently they are unsuitable for doing that with. So no doubt we will actually end up editing some of these. So these are going to be awful. I do kind of want... I do suppose we have put that huge backing into it. Is there any chance the Drake cut this back will fail? It's a bigger model in the future. If we do it as a bigger model, it'll be a 1 to 200, same as the Max and stuff. Yes, it's very much a possibility. We will do it in 1 to 200. It's one of those things that we try and work out. No, that's a lie. I started making the models I wanted because I was a fan of Star Citizen and I wanted to make some models. So that's why there's a lot of missed ships. We did the Arrow because Noodle lived with us at the time and it was his favourite ship. So our logic behind which ships we did first was very random. We did the Dragonfly because we did a full-size Dragonfly and we already had some files and we wanted a little one. So the logic behind what ships we did to start with were very silly. But at the end of the day, we were putting all this money and our time in it, so the kind of worst case scenario was I got some models I wanted to have on my shelf, so okay. If I'd done stuff that I didn't want, there was logic. yeah, there was, Kaz. The logic was if it all went tits up, at least I had some models. Not the greatest logic, I'll give you that. But yeah, so... we're now definitely in a phase of going for stuff that people have requested. Obviously, the Carrack was very heavily requested. We've got the MSR and the C2 in the next rollout. All these little 1 to 500 diorama ships are, are going out there. I mean, there's some ships that we probably will never do because they're just not popular enough, like the Avenger. I mean, that's, no one's really asking for the Avenger, so we'll probably never do that. But the Cutlass Black certainly does get asked for a lot. MSR. It's not that coming. Sorry, we will do the Avenger. This is just as mounting up Hazagar, because he really wants the Avenger. So eventually we want to 100, Cutlass Black could be 1 to 200, and it's that whole thing of there are 170 ships in this game, and we've got 4 scales, and it's like all of a sudden we could be doing 300 different models, and each model takes us about 4 to 6 months to do. So it's like, oh god, there's never enough time in the world. We can't actually make these ships as fast as Star Citizen does. Ben Curtis and JC and the team are bigger than us, so they do them quicker. So the best thing, Klausberger, is that we are always trying to get a bit of a feeler from the community, and yes, it's really difficult. So this is the interesting thing. We've tried to put out surveys in the past of, okay, what ships would you like? And we get some people who are like, all right, yes, no, I want to buy this ship. I'm aware it will cost about this amount of money. Yes, I would like that in that scale. You get other people that just go, Avenger, 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 and like click them out 1,000,000 times. So they get 1,000,000 votes to say they want an Avenger, but it was only one person. And then you get other people that, sort of, that want to go, oh yeah, I'd buy it. Oh yeah, I definitely want Caterpillar. And then when it comes out, oh, it's too expensive. And it's just like, ugh. Yeah, those jerks, Haskell. So it's like you get a lot of voting by people who just want a model but want it for 20 quid. So it's been very difficult for us to get qualitative data over what people want. But the Cutlass Black is popular. It is popular ship. Interestingly, another interesting thing that we're doing is we're sort of using the dioramas, the 1 to 500 dioramas, as a bit of a yardstick of what models we should do in other scales, because if they sell really, really well in 1 to 500, the chances are they would sell well in other scales. And I can tell you this, we've sold 4 times as many Cutlass Blacks as anything else. So the shelf was emptied of Cutlass Blacks, but not of anything else. I say about 4 times the sales for Cutlass Blacks. So that has showed us, yeah, that is definitely a ship that should be top of the list to do in a bigger scale for a more expensive model. Because, the logic goes, if it sells well in 1 to 500, it should sell well in other things. Certainly as a comparable number. And because we've got the freelancers in 1 to 500, yes, the main reason we did the freelancers in 1 to 500 is because we already had really high quality files of them from our other models. But it's interesting that we can now compare the popularity of the freelancer models in the 1 to 500 compared to the Cutlasses. So we can go, well, can we infer that sort of potential sales of Cutlass Black 1 to 200s against, using the sort of difference between the sales of the Black and the freelancer in the 1 to 500. So it's like, so if we sell twice as many Cutlass Blacks as freelancers in 1 to 500, does that mean we'd sell twice as many Cutlass Blacks in 1 to 200 as we do in 1 to 200 freelancer? So it's an interesting experiment to try and get a bit of qualitative data for picking models. We should do the Origin models. Yes. So Origin, we've not done any Origin ships so far. So the Origin ships have one major problem. They're bought by douches. No, sorry. Sorry, Yacht Club. No, the biggest issue with Origin ships is they have a lot of clear parts. And clear parts have been something that we've really struggled with. And one of the things that we've sort of overcome with the Carrack is what we did with the Carrack as bridges section, I happen to have one here. We've actually done a cast of the bridge and cast the internals. So you can see the pilot seat and the mezzanine and everything is cast into a solid block of clear tinted resin. And this has kind of been our first sort of foray into doing these solid casts. And interesting, that is what all of this malarkey has been about today. So over here, one of the things we have been doing today are these, which are the molds for these Carrack bridge sections. So we obviously get 5 in each of those. That's 3. We cast another one today. What I want to do is build up 7 of these, so we can cast 35 of them at once. We have a whole box over here. I think we might actually have 100 of these now. So these are the bridge internals as a print. So you can sort of see the mezzanine deck and the pilot seat. So we take these off the scaffolding, and they then go into. I'll just do one. Yeah, I can do it without a knife. I can't do it without a knife. But they fit into here, and then we pour resin in. So things like that. This has been our first real go at doing. At doing a solid thing. Now, this technology will work for a lot of Origin ships. The other thing we've done very recently is upped our game with clear printing, and we've now got a much better system for actually doing clear printing, which is working well for canopies and stuff. So this foray with the Carrack, this is very much something that we will use for the 600. The 600 is probably the first 1 to 500 Origin ship we will do, because it's about half the size of a Carrack. The 890 the 890 is about 4 times the size of the Carrack, volume wise, at least. It is a behemoth, and the big problem with the 890 is it doesn't fit in our printers. This fits in 2 pieces. So the 890 requires not only a lot of this sort of clear printing, clear casting, sorry, it also requires us to be able to cast body sections. So the front part of the 890, just the front bit, is about that long with a Carrack at the front and much wider than the Carrack. It's an absolute beast. I think Drew sent me somewhere this file. It's a bit low res, but it should suffice for this. Oh, I'm on the wrong screen. So this is our 1 to 500 plan-ish. It's a bit old because there's none actually out on this, so I need to make some green. So this is the Carrack. This is the 890. It's an absolute beast. It's good practice for the javelin. Fuck you. We'll do the address first. So yeah, the 890 is just an absolute behemoth. So these 3 here are not doable at the moment. Yes, so when we do the Cutlass Black, we would do the blue and the red as well as kits, because there'll be a lot of common parts. You are right. But it's interesting, on the Cutlass Black, I think we would do the same kind of canopy as we've done on this, to actually the solid canopy, because it doesn't open. So it gives us some options there. So we will... These 5... This is the thing that I find most interesting about this chart. These 5 ships, they are the only 1 to 500 kit models we can currently do, which is weird. So the Carrack's obviously the first one. Hercules we're doing the end of the year, but these are the only other 3 that fall into the size of a kit model. Everything else to the left of here is a diorama, and these 3 are big kit models, which we can't do yet. So normal size kits, we only have 600 Starfarer, Hercules, Hammerhead, and Carrack. The Hull C will get added to that list when it comes into game. Obviously, we're going to do ships that are in game. And the merchantman should slide into that quite nicely. But we've not heard about the Polaris, not heard about the Perseus, so these ships, there's no point us looking at them till they're in game. So you know, it is what it is. So that's cool. But yes, it is interesting. It is interesting. I said the Cutlass Black would certainly be an amazing model. We'd want to do the interior of the cargo bay, its ramps opening, all that kind of jazz. So obviously a lot more work than we've done for the 1 to 500, but we have done some of the work towards the 1 to 200 by doing the 1 to 500, because all the initial fixes and stuff still work out. So that's fine. Right, so hello, Star Helix. Right, so we need to work out how to not use all of this wood. So let's have to go for a little bit of redesigning here. Let's just separate this out so we can see what what we're trying to do is have as much overlap on these as possible, but it's meaning that we're just not getting it's just not going to fit together easily. Hello, how are you? Let's get the fuck off over there. We are 2.5 hours into this. That's... right, so... let's say 450. It will be perfect. We'll just have to use a lot of glue. A lot of glue will be fine. Kind of do the same here. Let's see if it will work. See, that's not going to overlap that enough, so we're going to have to come up a little bit. It's not perfect, but it'll do. Make those two things. Okay. That will at least allow us to... so I don't really want to use more than... are SLS printers useless for models because it's porous? No, I think they're useless because they don't have very good surface quality. If I'm honest. So SLS printers are very much designed to make structurally component nylon pieces. They are amazing machines for producing things you can actually use on a data like structural mechanical basis. They're not designed to have good surface quality at all. It's very grainy. It's not layer liney like sort of SLA printers or FDM printers. It's just a very granular surface to it. But again, it doesn't care because that's not what it's trying to do. If that makes sense. Certainly for big models, fine. If you sort of like event type models, brilliant. But certainly when you're getting down to kind of, you wouldn't be able to get the sort of like panel lining type stuff, it would just be too grainy to get this sort of fidelity. I don't know what kind of micron layering they're using on them, but yeah, it's I haven't seen them used for anything like what do I want to class our kind of stuff as sort of shelf models, pretty models. It's mainly industrial applications, and they are amazing. You can actually build stuff with them, but not something. I know Westbrook Drew had one on order, but I think he's cancelled it now, just because he's more into the modelling side now. So it's just not that helpful. This is going to be a really wasteful thing, no matter how we do it, but tell you what I didn't do. Didn't do that. Right, so that's that. So I really want to get this whole frame out of one sheet, even though it will still be pretty wasteful. Timber has also gone up quite a lot in price because of, certainly in the UK, we appear to have no truck drivers. If you'd like to come and be a truck driver in the UK, that'd be brilliant, thank you. My truck driver. I'm actually going to have to learn how to drive a truck at this rate, because my truck driver emigrated to Canada, so don't actually have anyone to run events anymore. But yeah, I think I just might get my bigger license and go from there. In theory, it should be really easy to hire a truck at the moment because there's no drivers. Should be, should be no problem. Okay, I have to split these up again, really? Really? Oh dear. Oh, wait a minute, no, I'll tell you what we could do, If we move that there, we could actually make this one longer. By 125, and this one longer by 125. Which would allow us to make these ones shorter by 125. And then they would fit inside, maybe. Maybe. Please fit inside. Another 25. Get away with another 25? Yeah, I guess we're gonna have to. Okay, it's all a bit close and tight and stuff, but yeah, and hugely wasteful. It's a terrible, terrible sheet. Look at all that wood we've wasted. Um, if I'm making 2 of them, does it help me? Weirdest game of Tetris ever. Yeah. It's funny when you're doing huge builds, you separate all your pieces out into like 12 mil, 18 mil, 24 mil, 6 mil, 9 mil, and then you sort of lay it all out. Literally, huge amounts of sheets. What's the best one I can think of for that? Let me just find you a great example of this. What was the most complicated build for that? 2018 Santa Sack. There we go. So we have code names for some of our projects. One of them was Santa Sack, which was when we installed the Raven and the reception desk and stuff at Winslow. Because we were literally putting in, originally we were literally putting in on Christmas Eve. And in the end, we couldn't get riggers, we couldn't get anyone to come out over Christmas. So we ended up installing it in January over a weekend. So for anyone who hasn't seen the Winslow reception, it looks a lot like this. It's got a great big desk from inside the game with models of ships in it. But somewhere, yeah. So here is all the bits of that desk. So each one of these tiles is an 8x4 sheet of timber. So all of these top ones are, I want to say, 18 mil. Then these are 12 mil, and then these are 6 mil. And all of these, if we look at it in, how do I look at it in? Everything's changed. Tags, they're called tags now. Oh, no, I've not got them colored by tag. Okay, there you go. But yeah, so that they're all the pieces of this desk. It's just a desk. It's a huge desk. Don't get me wrong. It's a monster of a desk. But yeah. Oh, and then the crazy ass. This was us trying to work out how to hang the Raven. So the reception is this really weird shape. So 2 of the legs of its truss stand on the mezzanine, and 2 of them stand on the floor, and it's so complicated, it really is. And this is all the cladding. So this is all the cladding that goes on it. Again, all in pieces. Over many, many sheets of timber. And it looks like this when it's all put together. The Aegis Dynamics. This is all in Winslow. This all needs to get moved now, because they're... Do you have the ships inside the desk? I can't remember who did them, Ungie. So this is Engineer's Javelin. Look at how shit it is. Just not Engineer's Javelin. Just SketchUp wouldn't cope with it. But yes, we do actually have the ships in the desk, just to show them kind of how big they would be. So we've got this weird. Ignore the. I don't know why I've lost the frontage of these. I could just find a picture of what this actually looks like in real life, couldn't I? Maybe. I do totally have a folder with all these sort of things in. Find one that's actually got the ships in it. There we go. And that's the desk in real life. So it's like it is. It's like it, how much is that desk going to weigh? I have no idea, engineer, because we never lifted it in one piece. We built it. Like it's got a frame, and I would probably say that desk weighs half a ton, maybe. It's unliftable. It's there's so much timber work in it. All those panels come off individually to be painted and stuff. So it is super heavy. It's all modular and stuff, which is nice because it means we can sort of pull it apart later and paint it different colors and all that kind of stuff. I don't want that. Picture of it in the light. It's nice. It's a cool desk. We did actually do it. Relight it. Well, not relight it, but it's got all RGB lights in it. And we put the hunter in it. I think I've got a picture of it in here. But yeah, it is super heavy. Super heavy. Like how much wood it's made out of. It's crazy. Cool. So I might play around and see if I can get that a bit better. But that's one piece of wood with a lot of wastage. It's gonna annoy me. But I do want this frame to actually be a frame and hold things together. So we'll see. Anyway, so I might cut that, and we might be able to throw that together on the screens next time. Thank you very much, all of you wonderful people. So basically, you've already made the Bengal. We haven't made a Bengal. We made a javelin. It's a javelin. Oh, this Bengal. Oh no, this is this was just us putting in when we were trying to work out options. All right, what ships do we put in this desk? And to get the Bengal in it, you had to shrink it down to like 1 to 3,000 or something. Yeah, it was a good spot. We do have a Bengal over here, but it got kicked out for a bit. We made the javelin bigger because that Bengal was just it was just getting too silly small. And at the time, this was a few years ago, the Bengal really wasn't a very finished model. So yeah, it's probably more finished now. The one we saw in game, I think, is a lot more finished than when we last had a look at it. But yeah, sweet, right? We should totally go and raid somebody. That's the sort of thing that we should do. Who have we got? We've got Maya. He's not playing. Star Citizen, but that doesn't matter. He's still a wonderful human being. So we shall do that. I think Maya's heard of us before, but let him know anyway. We shall see you on Sunday, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you, Klausberger, for the questions. Please come and join us on Sunday if you can. We should be doing hopefully stuff down in the workshop, so that'll be quite exciting. See if you can hear me down there. And James the Stormtrooper will be co-hosting. But so see you then.
I'm just happy to blame JR immediately, but if you insist, we will look at the evidence.